From history's best-known strongman to a child who trains like a professional bodybuilder, here are 9 cases of impossible strength. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to They Will Kill You. Hit the like button and request any topics you'd like to learn about in the comments section below. Number 9. Harry Houdini. Erik Weisz, better known as Harry Houdini, captivated audiences and made headlines around the world with his sensational escape acts. His death-defying performances included being buried alive, the suspended straitjacket escape, or the milk can escape. Many people challenged his acts, claiming they were fake, but Houdini loathed false spiritualists and was quick to expose fraudulent artists. Houdini was also famous for his remarkable abdominal strength and would challenge people to punch him in the stomach, claiming it didn't hurt. Unfortunately, this would lead to his demise. While resting on a couch with a broken ankle, a student, Jocelyn Gordon Whitehead, approached him in his dressing room and surprised him with a flurry of punches to his stomach. Houdini had no chance to contract his abdominal muscles, and the punches ruptured his appendix. Despite being in great pain, he still performed that night, refusing to see a doctor. He ultimately died of peritonitis, his last words reportedly being, "I'm tired of fighting." Number 8. John Holtum. Perfecting the cannonball catch cost Danish strongman John Holtum 3 fingers. Once he mastered it, however, few could replicate his act, and those who questioned its authenticity were promptly invited on stage for a demonstration. A cannon was placed on one side of the stage, as Holtum, wearing gloves on his hands and protection on his chest, waited on the other. A 50-pound cannonball was fired at the strongman. Holtum would use his strength and lightning-fast reflexes to catch the cannonball. He traveled the world performing and would offer 3,000 francs to anyone who could do the same. Needless to say, no one took him up on the offer. Number 7. Paul Anderson. US weightlifter Paul Anderson produced a notable display of strength at the height of the Cold War. Traveling to the Soviet Union, he broke the world record for the 2-hand press. Soviet champion Alexey Medvedev had just pressed 330.5 pounds, which was the Olympic record at the time. The Russian announcer and Anderson's fellow competitors snickered as he stepped up to the bar, but was silenced as he lifted 402.41 pounds. Anderson was an Olympic gold medalist and one of the pioneers of powerlifting. Yet there's another achievement of his that's included on this list. On June 12, 1957, in Toccoa, Georgia, Anderson lifted 6,270 pounds, slightly off trestles, with his back. This is the greatest weight ever lifted by a human. Number 6. Joe Rollino. Brooklyn-born Joe Rollino weighed around 150 pounds and stood 5'5". He looked like an ordinary man, maybe even slightly below average. However, Rollino was incredibly strong, and not just for his size. In his prime, he could move 3,200 pounds with his back and lift 450 pounds with his teeth. He could also bend coins with his bare hands and nails with his mouth. In a truly Herculean display during World War II, Rollino used his incredible strength to rescue wounded soldiers on the battlefield. With bullets whizzing past him, Rollino carried the fallen soldiers, 2 under each arm, back behind the line of fire. He did this several times. Rollino was awarded 3 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star, and a Silver Star. He was a vegetarian and lived to be 104 years old. He could still bend coins with his teeth at 103 and claimed in an interview that he was just born strong. Number 5. Louis Cyr. Louis Cyr is referred to as the strongest man that ever lived. Although only 5'8", the Canadian strongman often weighed well over 300 pounds. Some of his recorded feats include hoisting a boulder weighing 514 pounds, lifting a 534-pound weight with one finger, and resisting the pull of draft horses. As Sir held the reins from two horses in each hand, the grooms cracked their whips to get the animals to pull harder. Sir repeated the performance in front of Queen Victoria during her royal visit with her team of draft horses. He also entered a wrestling match with the giant Edouard Beaupeur, who stood 7'8" and weighed 365 pounds, and won. His most amazing display of strength was in Boston, 1895. Sir lifted a platform holding 18 men on his back. The combined weight was a staggering 4,337 pounds. Number 4. Shavash Karapetyan. There's no way to describe Shavash Karapetyan other than as the real-life Aquaman. He broke world records in fin swimming on 10 separate occasions, but is also known for the remarkable heroics of September 16th, 1976. After completing his usual 12-mile run alongside Yerevan Lake, Armenia, Karapetyan heard a crash and saw a trolley bus had fallen from a dam wall into the lake. The bus sank around 80 feet from shore to the bottom of the reservoir, which was around 33 feet deep. The then 23-year-old dove into the freezing water and swam to the bus with 92 people on board. With no regard for his own safety, he kicked the back window and started pulling people out. He carried them to the surface with almost zero visibility. 20 people he carried out survived. Karapetyan was unconscious for 45 days, effectively ending his sports career. Fortunately, Karapetyan survived, and this wouldn't be his last heroic act. 9 years later, he rushed into a burning building and pulled out 3 people trapped inside. Number 3. Hysterical strength. There are many scientific theories to explain hysterical strength. The concept refers to how life and death situations cause an ordinary person to perform astonishing physical feats. Hysterical strength is commonly attributed to a surge of adrenaline released in the body under extreme conditions. Research is rather difficult to replicate without putting potential test subjects in danger. It's still unclear whether the extraordinary strength comes from the adrenaline released into the bloodstream or from noradrenaline released from sympathetic nerve terminals, which directly stimulate skeletal muscles. Despite not being fully understood, there have been several documented cases of it. When the jack collapsed in a 3,000-pound Chevy Impala, pinned teenager Tony Cavallo under it, his mother Angela single-handedly lifted the vehicle and held it up for roughly 5 minutes until help arrived. 52-year-old Robert Rennin bent the door of a burning SUV in half to rescue the passenger. In 1988, on the set of Magnum P.I., a helicopter careened out of control, trapping one of the pilots underneath it. The chopper weighs roughly 1,550 pounds. Warren Everall lifted the helicopter, saving the pilot's life. When a polar bear attacked her children while they were playing in the street, Canadian Lydia Angiou took the 700-pound bear head on. It charged her, and the 100-pound woman wrestled it on the ground until a neighbor scared it off by firing warning shots. She saved the children and escaped the confrontation virtually unscathed, with only a black eye and a few scratches. Number 2. Angus MacAskill. Also known as Black Angus or Giant MacAskill, this Scottish-born Canadian giant could perform mind-bending feats of strength as a result of his incredible size. MacAskill is still widely considered to be the world's tallest natural giant, meaning that his size wasn't a result of gigantism or any other condition. Although 7'9" and weighing over 400 pounds, MacAskill's physique was well proportioned. His 80-inch chest is the Guinness World Record for the largest ever measured for a non-obese person. He could carry barrels weighing over 350 pounds, one under each arm, and hold a 110-pound weight with only 2 fingers at arm's length for 10 minutes. He lifted a horse over a 4-foot fence, as well as single-handedly mount a 40-foot-tall schooner mast. He was best known for being able to easily lift a ship's anchor weighing around 2,800 pounds to chest height. In comparison, the current deadlift world record is held by Eddie Hall at 1,102 pounds. McCaskill traveled all over the world with P.T. Barnum's circus. Queen Victoria heard stories and invited him to perform at Windsor Castle. When the demonstration was over, she presented him with 2 gold rings and proclaimed him to be the tallest, stoutest, and strongest man to ever enter the palace. Number 1. Giuliano Stro. Born in 2004, Giuliano Stro was breaking strength world records and gaining a social media following when he was only 5 years old. In 2009, the Romanian child bodybuilder entered the Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest handwalk with a weight between the legs. This happened in front of a live studio audience and was viewed by hundreds of thousands of people on YouTube. In the following years, Giuliano broke the record for 90-degree push-ups where the feet never touched the ground, the record for human flag, muscle-ups, and many others. Showcasing his strength and flexibility on many TV shows and even appearing on Romania's Got Talent before a bewildered jury. Giuliano's impressive physique was the result of an intense training regime created by his father, Julian. Both Giuliano and his younger brother, Claudio, were trained like professional bodybuilders under the supervision of their father. Facebook posts and YouTube videos eventually caught the attention of Romanian Child Protective Services. Concerned about young children working out for hours on end, they took temporary custody of the boys to make sure that they were physically and mentally healthy. Julian was eventually allowed to keep custody of his boys, as they'd both been given a clean bill of health.
Late in the game, Foe collapsed in the middle of the field, with no other players near him. Foe's widow, Mary Louise, stated afterwards that the Cameroonian player had been ill with gastric problems and dysentery before that match, and he was insistent to play in his adopted hometown of Lyon.